This is KGW News at noon.
Oh, what a difference 24 hours makes. That sunny 70-plus degree day sure didn't last long. This afternoon, the rain is back. From the coast to the gorge, and right here in the metro area, it is a wet Thursday. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Brenda Braxton. Let's bring in meteorologist Rod Hill this afternoon. Rod, the rain's sticking around for a while.
Yes, now to be fair, yesterday's 75-degree day did last 24 hours, Brenda, just to be fair, all right? This is day one of this, we'll call it a new or maybe the next rainy period that we're now into that will last through your Mother's Day weekend. And of course, the big story so far today is this has been steady, and the moisture, look at it, it's swept all the way across into the Idaho border. So it is raining most areas across Oregon and Washington. Here's live Doppler radar right now. I want to highlight you folks in Molalla. If you're watching us, you're thinking, boy, the rain is really coming down. You're right in the bullseye of some of the heaviest rain in our area right now. Here's a look at Futurecast. So this tells you when things are going to start to break up. So there's a front coming in the next couple of hours. This shows by 3 o'clock, parts of our area starting to see the rain break up somewhat as the front moves through, and certainly by 5 and going into this evening, the day's rain is pretty much over. Now, there could be some scattered showers start to fill in this evening, but if you have evening plans, there's a decent chance you're going to have an hour, 2 hours of some dry weather. One of our rainiest looking cameras is this one. This is a Willamette Valley Vineyards sitting up on the hill just south of Salem off of I-5. We're only at 50, and we're going to be in the 50s throughout the day. More rain coming. In fact, tomorrow, Brenda, the forecast includes a storm chance. We'll talk more about that coming up.
All right, see you then. Thanks, Rod. New numbers confirm what we're seeing in the metro area. The homeless population has gone way up during the pandemic. This is the first count of unsheltered people since 2019. Alma McCarty walks us through the findings.
Hit the streets for another day.
In 2022, the point-in-time survey conducted in late January counted more than 6,600 people experiencing homelessness across Multnomah, Washington, and Clackamas counties. Multnomah County alone counted more than 5,200 people experiencing homelessness, an increase of around 1,000 people since the last point-in-time count in 2019. Of that number, nearly 1,500 people were in emergency shelters, 686 in transitional housing, and more than 3,000 were unsheltered.
I'm not surprised at all, unfortunately.
More than half of those surveyed say they were experiencing chronic homelessness. Officials say people of color made up almost 40% of everyone counted this year.
I am really disappointed in the overrepresentation of communities of color in homelessness.
Katrina Holland leads Join, a homeless services agency in Portland that helps people get into permanent housing and retain it.
I think a lot of us knew and could see and feel the impact of homelessness increasing in the area, while the Joint office and agencies like ours and others are placing more people in housing than we ever have and quicker than we ever have. Keeping up with this inflow into new houselessness is going to be really challenging with the COVID-19 fallout.
The federally mandated count is merely a glimpse into the scope of the issue. Officials stressing that homelessness isn't static, and the number of people requiring services and aid is much larger than any one night count.
We assume some undercounting. We assume that there's going to be challenges in methodology, regardless of which methodology we use.
Holland said homelessness here and everywhere is a symptom of a larger problem.
COVID-19 was really just a cherry on top that exacerbated all the systemic issues that have been creating homelessness in our community in the first place.
Alma McCarty, KGW News.
There's a new fence outside the U.S. Supreme Court to keep protesters away. Thousands have shown up since the leaked draft opinion suggested the justices are poised to overturn Roe v. Wade. That 8-foot fence is similar to the one set up around the Capitol after last year's riot. Well, if the High Court does indeed overturn Roe, many are wondering what happens next. As Christine Pay reports, some fear same-sex marriage could be in jeopardy.
The arguments made in the draft that was leaked put the entire queer community on notice, whether it was intentional or not.
Carmen Rivera is Seattle Pride's VP of the board and is already thinking about what overturning Roe v. Wade could mean, not only for abortion, but for same-sex marriage rights.
People thought we were getting ahead of ourselves when we were afraid of Roe v. Wade getting overturned 5 years ago. In 2016, this was a legitimate concern during the presidential election.
The question is, well, how does this impact other cases, right?
Sheetal Kalantri is a law professor at Seattle University. She says overturning Roe would, in her words, gut the constitutional grounds in which it was based on, which is privacy.
Now that you have unearthed the entire roots and the foundations of 30, 40 years of constitutional law, everything is up for grabs.
And you may kiss your wife.
Including, she says, the legalization of same-sex marriage, another landmark case that was in part decided on the same right to privacy under the 14th Amendment.
But if this is any marker, then we can expect them to disregard prior precedent in the way they disregarded it here.
But Samuel Alito, the justice who drafted the conservative opinion of the court, stated, "We emphasize that our decision concerns the constitutional right to abortion and no other right. Nothing in this opinion should be understood to cast doubt on precedents that do not concern abortion." An assertion that Rivera finds difficult to believe.
This isn't just a women's rights issue, this is a human rights issue.
Now, to be clear, this is a draft opinion. The Supreme Court is scheduled to issue its official ruling sometime in June. Well, we are just 12 days away from Oregon's primary, and we have new poll numbers in the Republican race for governor. According to Nelson Research, former House Republican leader Christine Drazen is the frontrunner there with 18.9% support. Bob Tiernan is in second with 14%, and Dr. Bud Pierce comes in third with 9.5% support. 27% of the Republican primary voters surveyed said that they are still undecided. The poll questioned 514 likely Republican voters from April 29th through May 2nd. Election day, by the way, is coming up on Tuesday, May 17th. If you are a registered voter in Multnomah County, you should already have your ballot. If you haven't received one or need a replacement, call the elections office at 503-988-VOTE. Ballots must be placed in an official drop site location by 8 p.m. on Election Day or postmarked by May 17th. Well, nurses at Providence St. Vincent, I should say, here in Portland are one step closer to striking. An overwhelming majority voted last night to authorize a strike. Negotiations between Providence and the Oregon Nurses Association have been going on for 7 months. ONA says nurses are protesting unfair labor practices and demanding a new contract. In the meantime, Providence says it tried to negotiate, calling last night's vote the latest attempt to delay meaningful discussion. ONA says it will give Providence 10 days notice before the strike begins. Well, take a look at these pictures. Portland police say this person tried to set fire to the Muslim Community Center on North Vancouver Avenue. It happened around 7 o'clock Tuesday night. Surveillance cameras recorded the suspect pouring a flammable liquid on the back of the building, then trying to light it. It didn't ignite, so the suspect tried a second time, causing some minor damage. If you recognize this person, you're asked to contact Portland police.